All right, folks, it is Sunday, and it is the very first game of the NFL season for the Green Bay Packers. And while I'll be cheering them on while editing this video, I need to make sure we got this video out because we have a bunch of news to get into today, so much so that I don't want to give you a lot of preamble. I will just note we are giving away 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders right now. You can go ahead and enter through the link down in the pinned comment or the description. And let's go ahead and just dive into our very first story. And, well, Nintendo suing a streamer who played pirated Switch games. He played them on live stream and advertised that people should pirate them. This is actually an old story that we went over a little while back, but it's been updated now. So basically, Nintendo was seeking $150,000 per infringement of its copyright, with Nintendo saying that every Game Guru streamed pirated content on at least 50 occasions in the last 2 years, and that would mean he'd owe Nintendo $7.5 million. And so basically what he was doing was he was pirating the games before they came out, so before public release, and streaming them and blatantly daring Nintendo to do something about it. There's been many updates on it. Nintendo's been trying to serve him for a long time. They haven't been able to actually find him to serve him the lawsuit, and the final update has now come out as of 9/5 here. It says the man mentioned above has now agreed to pay Nintendo $2 million after being sued. He is also banned from possessing mod chips, flash carts, and anything similar, and Nintendo will seize any of the items currently in his possession along with his website. So yeah, look, this is one of those F around and find out moments. I feel literally no sympathy for a pirate getting caught doing pirate behavior and daring Nintendo and, you know, trying to evade the lawsuit and just all sorts of nasty stuff. This isn't somebody who bought copies of the game, dumped them themselves, and was just doing this for backup purposes. No, they were blatantly downloading leaked copies online and live streaming them to people and then telling everyone to basically F Nintendo, go pirate all their stuff. What do you think was going to happen? Look, you poke the bear, you're going to get burned. Next up, though, how about the fact that it looks like, according to multiple reports, the Switch 2 was actually supposed to release before June of this year. So Nintendo Switch 2 was delayed multiple times, it's claimed. So while the Switch 1 sold over 150 million units and counting, the wait for the Switch 2 lasted an eternity. It felt like the console wouldn't be announced at one point. However, the Switch 2 finally came into our world, but reportedly only after many delays. The Switch 2 was officially revealed on April 2025, or at least like they had a direct for it, and then took a further 2 months for the console to debut. As a Switch 2 owner, I can confidently say it was worth the wait. Mario Kart World is exceptional, Donkey Kong Bonanza is otherworldly, let alone the fact that I can play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with peak performance. But it could have all happened a lot sooner had Nintendo not had an eye for inch-perfect detail. Switch 2 delay because Nintendo wanted perfection. Now, this is according to Bloomberg. Nintendo repeatedly pushed back plans for the Switch 2's launch after its designers asked for more time to perfect the games that would accompany the new hardware, according to people familiar with the matter. While the later than expected release tested the patience of fans and frustrated third-party game publishers, the company decided that aiming for perfection was more important. Nintendo isn't the kind of company that likes to release a game somewhat finished and then drop multiple updates after launch to fix the game. So when this attitude translates to the company's brand spanking new piece of hardware, you can understand now why the Switch 2 took so long. This is why games like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond take so long to develop. A new Super Mario 3D is probably in the works, and because the franchise is so historic and it's such an important piece of gaming history, Nintendo will do everything in its power to ensure it's as good as they can, as they possibly can. So obviously, Nintendo has spent years really perfecting this idea of we will delay games, we will delay hardware, we will delay anything we feel like we need to delay until we think it's absolutely publicly ready. Now, some people argue, well, Switch 2 was, came out when it did, and if you delayed it for games, where the hell are the games? Like, most of your games that you have coming out aren't from your internal teams. Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, internal teams. If you want to argue Metroid Prime 4 is an internal team, fine. But we know that obviously Legends EA is not. We know that things like Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, that's not made by an internal Nintendo team. Kirby Air Riders, again, your big holiday title, not made by an internal team. So all this waiting, and we still don't have a lot of games revealed from Nintendo's internal teams. That being said, that could all be changing this week because a Nintendo Direct is supposedly coming, reportedly coming. And we have some updates on this. The rumor fest around this direct has been pretty intense. It supposedly is happening on Friday, according to Switchforce. And Switchforce has now dropped a hint for 3 mysterious 7 games for the next direct. Switchforce, who has turned into a formidable leaker, has produced a new video hinting at some of the content for the rumored September Nintendo Direct presentation. He hinted in the video that we should see 3 7 released titles in the next Nintendo Direct. Guests online have stemmed from things like Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Ace Attorney 7. Now, we actually have an additional update on this because Switchforce did tell us, just to get one fan out of the way, to be like, hey, you might be expecting this. This isn't what we're talking about here. So he quoted here Necro Felipe saying, not a soul has guessed the right combo yet. What are your picks? And this guy said, please, if Ace Attorney 7 is not in it, just tell me now. I don't want to keep hoping in vain. And he said, negative, Cap'n. Someone also said, what, Soul Calibur 7? Just so you don't get too excited, Soul Calibur is stuck on NSO GCN. So basically, no, it's not Soul Calibur 7. No, it's not Ace Attorney 7. However, he's not ruling out Blackout 7. He's not ruling out Dragon Quest 7, which has a remake rumored. He's not ruling out Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade getting a release date. I mean, my money, if I just had to throw some out there, let's just take 2 Final Fantasy games right away. Let's go Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade, right? Getting a release date. That could be 1/7. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth getting announced for 2026. That could be 2 7s. And then the third one's really anyone's guess. It could be literally anything. Like I go back to this thread on people guessing, and honestly, they're all really good. Persona 7, Metroid 7, you see Mario Party 7 on NSO. You're seeing Killer 7. There's also the idea of Project 007, or maybe even just 007 First Light. There is a 7 in that title, and First Light obviously has gotten some updates, including this right here where it says it's a game key card on Switch 2, which I know it's unfortunate that we're seeing yet another game key card game. Again, I don't really know how much this is news anymore. I kind of just expect it, but that's another game that could fall into there because it's 007, if you kind of get what I mean there. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. What the 7 games you think are. Like, it has a number 7. What does it mean? You guys let me know. That being said, we have a former Nintendo developer actually talking about how Nintendo comes up with ideas in development. A former Nintendo developer, Ken Watanabe, talks about Nintendo's culture. And here's what he says. The company culture, or whatever you call it, embraces people taking initiative. Watanabe, now an independent game creator, said, for example, it's not unusual for someone to be secretly working on something without telling their boss, like, I made this in secret. And then it turns out to be interesting, so it gets turned into a real product. One particular effect artist spent all of his spare time tinkering with Nintendo's stage editor and eventually got reassigned to do the work that drew his interest. Watanabe himself secretly built a level for Pikmin 3 that was good enough to be adopted into the final game. In that sense, there's really a lot of freedom, he said. Whether it turns out to be a blockbuster or a huge flop, the company lets you focus on building what you believe to be fun without distraction. So, yeah, he basically had a lot of positive. There's more to this interview if you want to check it out. There's just a ton of positive things going on in the world of working for Nintendo. Like, it just seems to be a very pleasant experience with a lot of advancement opportunities. One last thing I wanted to do is shout out a friend of the channel who has a game on Kickstarter, and they want to bring this game over to Nintendo Switch 2. The game we're talking about is Royalty Free for All. It is a Smash Bros. Style game. You can kind of see the video here. This is a Smash Bros. Style game using royalty-free characters, or their take on royalty-free characters to kind of create some uniqueness and funness to it. And yeah, we've got to play this game at PAX East and PAX West. It's incredible. I'm pretty sure Thunderstash is working on a preview for it, but I wanted to mention it because there's only 16 days left to go on their Kickstarter. They're only trying to raise $40,000. They do have stretch goals, but the big part of the reason I want to bring up the $40,000 is because when you come down here to what they're actually going to be doing with this money, one of the big things, and this is what we need to cover, like, this is their development team, which, by the way, they have David Wise on here. They have Grant Kirkhope as well. So just pointing out, they have some amazing top-tier music talent. this is what it's up. Console ports. The main reason we're here. With the extra time and funding, we'll be able to port royalty-free for all to consoles, targeting all your favorite at-home and mobile gaming devices. We're targeting day and date release across all platforms, but availabilities and timelines may be subject to third-party processes and approvals, like Nintendo has their own approval process. It usually takes a little longer. But yeah, they also want to add an online free-for-all, which is a 1v1 quick play with private lobbies. They obviously will put some additional polish into the game. And then they have their stretch goals. Of course, they go beyond this. 45K, they'll do victory dances. 70K, they'll add in Bigfoot. 135K, they'll add in Frankenstein. 200K, they'll add in Dante. And they have their release plan here about how they plan to do everything and all the different tiers that you can pledge at. I think, was it $15? To get for a free copy of the game. Yeah, so you give them $15, you get a copy of the game. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But again, the big thing here is trying to get this on console. I want this to come to Switch and Switch 2. Not just because these are my friends, but the game is actually really, really good. And again, if you like Smash Bros. Styles fighting games, here's another one out there that I find to be pretty high quality. So if you guys want to help it reach its funding goal, that would be fantastic. We'll put a link to the Kickstarter down below. And guys, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel RoboJans from Nintendo Prime. And of course, we got to end this video since I'll be editing it during the game as Go Pack Go, baby. Catch you guys in the next video.